Once upon a time, in the heart of an ancient Igbo village called Amurokpa, nestled amidst the rolling hills and sacred forest, there was a queen whose voice held the fate of her people. Her name was Ezenwani Adebi, a woman of grace, wisdom, and strength, but her reign was haunted by a sorrow that ran deep. She had no child. In a culture where motherhood was the crown of a woman's pride, Adebi's barren womb was a silent wound, an open mystery that the villagers could not ignore. For years, her marriage to Isanezi, the respected king, was blessed with harmony, but cursed with silence in the palace halls where the laughter of children should have echoed. The women of the village pitied her, the men often discussed her fate in hushed voices. The queen's heart grew heavy with the burden of expectation, the stares of villagers, and the unseen pressure of the ancestors' whispers. Despite her barrenness, she ruled with fairness and courage, yet the weight of childlessness followed her like a shadow point one fateful night. After years of enduring whispers and prayers that never seemed to reach the gods, Adebi decided to seek the help of Amedioha, the thunderous deity who reigned over justice and fertility. She embarked on a sacred journey deep into the forbidden forest, where no one dared to venture. It was said that only the bravest or the most desperate went there, for the spirits were known to test the heart of any who entered. As she walked through the mist-laden paths, the trees seemed to whisper her name. A storm gathered above her, and the skies darkened with ominous clouds. When she reached the sacred shrine of Amedioha, lightning struck the earth near her, a sign that the god had arrived. "Why do you seek me, childless queen?" boomed the voice of Amedioha, as thunder rumbled through the trees. With trembling hands, Adebi fell to her knees, her eyes wet with tears. "I seek what all women desire, a child to hold, a child to love. The cries of childlessness haunt me every night." Amedioha was silent for a moment, then spoke. "You ask for a child, but do you understand the price of your request? A mother's cry is not just for a child's birth, but also for their pain, for their destiny." "I am ready," Adebi replied, her voice breaking. "I will pay any price. Let the village know the sound of my child's voice. Let my heart no longer ache in this emptiness." The god of thunder struck again, this time sending a brilliant bolt of lightning that illuminated the entire forest. A voice echoed through the heavens, "So it shall be." The next morning, Queen Adebi returned to Amurokpa, her face glowing, her spirit lifted. The villagers noticed the change and whispered among themselves. A few months later, to everyone's astonishment, the queen became pregnant. It was as if the gods themselves had reversed the curse that plagued her womb. The village rejoiced, drums were beaten in celebration, and the air was filled with songs of hope. But, as Amedioha had warned, with great joy came great sorrow. 9 months later, Adebi gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, whom she named Chimari, meaning God has won. However, from the moment he was born, strange things began to happen. The child's cries were not like those of an ordinary baby. When he wailed, the winds howled, and the skies darkened. Lightning would crack across the heavens, and the earth would tremble. The villagers grew fearful, for they realized that the child was no ordinary boy. He carried the power of the gods within him. As Chimari grew, so did his strange abilities. The crops in the village flourished when he smiled, but when he cried, sickness swept through Amurokpa. Adebi loved her son dearly, but the burden of raising a god-touched child weighed heavily on her. The people of Amurokpa, once joyful, now lived in constant fear of the child's unpredictable moods. The elders gathered and approached the king, demanding that the boy be sent away to the wilderness, where his powers would no longer endanger the village. Torn between the love for her child and the well-being of her people, Adebi was forced to make an impossible choice. On the day of the decision, the entire village gathered at the palace square. Adebi stood before her people, her heart breaking. "I asked for a child," she said, tears streaming down her face, "and the gods granted my wish. But they have given me a child whose destiny is tied to forces beyond our control." The villagers stood in silence, watching their queen, their hearts heavy with sympathy and fear. As Adeabi prepared to say her final goodbye to Chimeri, a fierce storm rolled in. Thunder roared, and lightning danced across the sky, as though the gods themselves were speaking. Suddenly, a deep voice filled the air. It was Amadioha. "This child's fate is not yours to decide, Queen Adeabi," the god's voice boomed. "He was given to you as a gift, but his destiny is with the gods. His power is not for this world." And with that, a blinding flash of light engulfed the boy. When the light faded, Chimeri was gone. The village was left in stunned silence, and the storm slowly passed. Queen Adeabi fell to her knees, her cry echoing through the hills and forest. It was not just the cry of a mother who had lost her child, it was the cry of a queen who had lost a part of herself. The people of Amorokpa would remember that day, not just for the power of the gods, but for the sound of their queen's grief, a sound that would linger in the hearts of the villagers for generations. From that day onward, Adeabi ruled Amorokpa with renewed wisdom and strength. Though her child was gone, the village thrived under her care, and her story became a legend passed down from one generation to the next. The cry of the childless queen, a reminder of the sacrifices made in the name of love, power, and destiny.